Hey, so there's a new season of Rick and Morty out. So, you know.
I'm Pickle Rick!
Hi folks, my name is Adam and I like to make tiny nerdy things, and today I made a pickle named Richard. So obviously, to begin with, I'm going to need a pickle. Now my original plan was to use a real pickle, for tells, but I quickly realized that working with a slowly rotting mushy pickle would be probably more trouble than it's worth. So for the sake of not having pickle juice all over my studio and that ever-lingering scent of slowly decaying food hanging in the air, I'm just gonna make my pickle out of clay. Fortunately, this does give me a chance to make Pickle Rick out of colored clay, which I'm pretty excited about. The hope here is that by using colored clay, I can cut out a big portion of the painting process by using the colored clay as the base and painting the details and washes later. But as far as making a pickle, it's a pretty straightforward process. Start with a solid aluminum core and then a coat of green clay over top. A lot of beginners will make the mistake of trying to sculpt a pickle from the get-go, but that's almost impossible, so what I like to do is sculpt a smaller cucumber first before leaving it in brine for several days until you've got a nice authentic clay pickle. Once it's been removed from the brine, I'll dry my pickle off and get to work on making a face. I'll start by poking some massive holes for the eye sockets before cutting out a big happy smile. Now if I were to stop here, I'd be finished sculpting a limbless sabotender. However, for our purposes, I'm going to keep going by adding a few choice pickle warts across the body and then filling in the mouth with some black clay. With our pickle's gaping maw blackened out, I can add in on his little white teeth. Now for added authenticity, I'm going to use my smallest bile stylus to add those tiny little grooves in the top of the teeth. After all, I can think of nothing more embarrassing than someone looking at my anthropomorphic pickle wearing a bodysuit of rat parts and said, "Hey man, something seems wrong about those teeth." His tongue is just a red blob of clay flattened and then grooved and then jammed into the back of his mouth, and a couple oversized white balls will function as his eyeballs, and a couple teeny tiny black dots will be the pupils. But with that, the extent of our pickle is done and we can get started making the horrifying Frankenstein's monster that is his limbs. I'll start with the legs first so that he's freestanding and I can work more comfortably on the rest of his body. Now to ensure that his legs are equal in proportions at least to one another, I'll start by bending two pieces of wire at the same time. Given the nature of what I'm making, I'm not overly concerned about the actual shape of the body parts, I just want to make sure that they're equal to one another. To help support the legs and make sure that they don't rotate in their pinholes, I'll brace them with a couple smaller support wires that can be taped to the main leg. And once the armature is in place, I can start adding the clay. Basic gray is going to work well for the feet here, so a couple wormy noodles will get us started on the right foot. Then some small balls squeezed onto the fronts of the feet and blended in will be his toes, and that's kind of the feet finished. There's not a whole lot of detail to them, they're just long noodles with balls on the end.
Phrasing?
And a little bit of isopropyl alcohol brushed over the top will help smooth the fingerprints away and leave some small brush strokes that'll serve as a little bit of that fine rat foot hair texture. The rest of the legs are where things get really spicy. They're a mix of bone and meaty furry chunks held together by bits of tendon. For the bone sections, I've mixed the smallest sliver of yellow and gray into my white clay to give a nice barely off-white bone color, and then the muscle and tendon is just a red and white mix to give a muted pink color. This just gets squished into place, trying to keep a mostly anatomically correct layout for how I think a rat leg looks. It's been a few hot years since I dissected a rat in grade 12 biology, so you'll have to give me a little leeway in terms of my anatomical precision. Finally, I've left a few grooves in the muscle so that I can lay the last bits of bone into place before using my ball stylus to texture some striations into all of the muscle. Pickle Rick's right leg is a bit more of a mess and includes a couple pieces of different materials. The first part under the knee is a flat piece of what I assume is metal, and then the second piece is a sort of wooden set of sticks that gets attached to the leg and then stuck into the body. I thought about making this out of toothpicks instead of clay, but then I didn't, I guess?
Cool story, Hansel.
With the legs finished, I can start adding the pelvis and spine and ribs and etc. Now you might notice that there's fur adorning some of the muscle, and I considered showing how I did that, but given that I can't find the footage anywhere, I'm going to have to assume that I never actually hit record. Just another example of my unwavering professionalism, so don't forget to subscribe for more great content that I forgot to record. A nice long wormy dealy up the pickle's dorsal section will function as his spine, and I'll carve some grooves into it to separate it into vertebrae. The ribs will be balls of clay rolled into smaller wormy dealies and looped around the body of the pickle until they attach to the spine. So in summation, to make an external bone carapace for a pickle, take varying lengths of wormy dealies and then smoosh them into place until it looks vaguely correct. Of course, to operate this horrifying body, our pickle needs a central nervous system in the form of a rat brain. Now, I am aware that this brain is uncomfortably phallic, but I assure you that this is a pretty faithful rendition of what a rat brain looks like, so blame nature, not me. After I've given Rick a temporal lobectomy, I'll add another little wormy dealie to connect the rat brain to the pickle brain. I think that might be the weirdest sentence I've ever said. However, I'm on to the final stages of this pickle adventure, which will be adding the arms. So I'll do the exact same thing I did for the legs and add some small braces to the larger wire before adding the clay base over top. Most of the process is the exact same except for a few bits of stringier bits of tendon connecting the left arm, and I actually managed to record the fur sculpting process for his right shoulder. I also added a vein to what I think might be a rat liver functioning as his left pauldron. To connect the arms to the spine, I've added some nice big muscle red latissimus dorsi wings, which will get the same ball stylus striation as the other muscly bits. Then the final stage for the Gherkin Richard will be adding his hands. The left hand is made out of pink clay and is mostly a degloved hand, while the right hand retains that lovely fur covering with the darker fur blending into the muscly, bony forearm. I have made it a tiny bit larger to account for the fact that it's covered in fur. I'm just kidding. It was entirely unintentional, I'm just really bad at keeping to the same scale. Now, knowing how often I drop and bump my sculptures, I thought it would be best to wait until the end to add that tiny screw that holds Pickle Rick's hips in place. Then with the sculpting finished, I can get started painting in all the little details. Now, because of the colored clay, there isn't really that much I need or want to add. However, I will paint all the exposed muscle with a red wash to add some shading to the grooves and recesses. Unfortunately, I was too quick in the removal of my cucumber from the brine and it never developed that lovely pickle green that I was after. So I am going to repaint the pickle with a darker, tastier, pickle-appropriate green. Then all the fur will get a light dry brush of gray to make the ridges pop, and I'll go over all the pink muscle and organs with a glossy varnish to encourage a nice healthy shine. Then I'm going to stare at the pickle for a while before deciding that, yes, pickles are generally shiny as well, so I'll coat the entire body in a gloss varnish too. Then the only thing left to do is add the little ketchup splatters that adorn our Gherkin hero. And with that, Pickle Rick is finally finished. However, this doesn't really feel like enough to me, so I'm also going to make Rick's beer bottle birthing pod. For the sake of authenticity, I wanted to make the pod out of a real beer bottle, but for scale I would have needed to use something like a big bottle of Schlitz, and even I don't hate myself enough to have those on hand. So instead I'm going to be using one of these cheap and cheerful Nalgene bottles that I found conveniently sitting on a shelf at my local Poundland. All I need to do is chop the top off using a fancy saw, then I can use a smaller saw to cut the rest of it out. Or rather, I can try a saw and fail, then attempt again with a knife before turning to my tried and true wire cutters. Fortunately, these left me with a pretty gnarly looking broken glassed edge, so once I don the necessary protective equipment, it's glass smashing time. Now, while it's not glass, it's still pretty sharp, and the idea of bleeding out on my studio floor as a result of making a Pickle Rick diorama for the love of internet strangers doesn't really appeal to me, so I'm going to sand all the sharp edges until they pass the thumb safety test. Of course, while the shape looks good now, I need to give it that patented beer bottle brown coloring. To do that, I'll turn to the airbrush. I think you could probably get away with spray painting or even using a paintbrush, but I wanted to keep a tiny bit of translucence, and the airbrush gives me a little bit more control. I've drilled a couple holes into the side of the bottle, and I'll use this cardboard tube to make some tubes, I guess. These get friction fit into the holes, and then I can paint them with a nice shiny gunmetal gray. To make the little seat in the back, I'll chop some popsicle sticks into a couple lengths to act as the seat, and then I'll make some tiny metal pipes on the bottom out of armature wire and heat shrink tubes. I've used these in a lot of projects in the past, and they work wonders for adding a little bit of layer and dimension to tubing without having to faff about with putties and clays. This will get painted in that same gunmetal gray and then glued onto the back side of the bottle. I'll also paint it with a little bit of brown wash to make it a tiny bit grimier. Finally, given how often I cut my fingers and hands, I've always got band-aids or plasters in easy reach. One of the smaller ones will work perfectly as a tiny bit of adornment. I've also made some random tubes and wires and greeblies out of an old computer cable, and that will just get glued into one of the metal pipes. The intestines hung from the top of the bottle are made of wound wire, which I've then chopped down into roughly equal lengths, and I'll cover them top to bottom in red heat shrink tubing. The tubing kind of acts as a skin over the wire and retains the shape, but makes it a little bit more fleshy, so that once I apply that brownish red wash over the top, I'm left with a bunch of these gross looking bendable intestines. I'll feed them in clumps through the holes I've drilled through the top of the bottle, and then I can bend them into whatever shape I want. I pointed them downwards now, but in the end I'm going to decide that they ought to point upwards. I wanted to make a chunk of sewer floor to set the bottle and pickle rick on, so I'll turn to my old friend XPS Foam. I can texture it using a little bit of rolled up aluminium and then a base coat of black Mod Podge to protect it before applying on a nice gray. To give it a bit of a dirtier, danker appearance, I'll liberally coat the entire thing in my homemade black wash. Usually I use wash to make my cracks and bumps stand out a little bit better.
Phrasing?
But it also works really well for dulling brighter colors. I'm always a little apprehensive gluing plastic with hot glue, but the heavier plastic of the bottle should be able to withstand the heat from the glue without deforming. I also wasn't sure how best to fill in the empty space around the floor, but I didn't want to leave it blank, so I made a bunch of meaty chunks. Finally, to really sell it as a sewer floor, I'm gonna dig deep into my TMNT phase and add some radioactively green goo. As a child of the 90s, I can't think of the floor of a sewer without picturing green goop. Of course, I don't want any radioactive goo, so I'm gonna try and make it look like mold. To this end, I'm gonna lay out some UV resin and then add a little bit of green paint on top. By mixing it this way, instead of before pouring it in, I should be able to keep it from developing a consistent color, which should help make it seem more like moldy growth and less like a spilled bottle of Mountain Dew. I'll do the exact same thing to the other side and then cure the entire thing under my UV lamp. But with that finished, it's time for the Glamour Shots. There you go, folks. I hope you like this one. It's my first dip into Rick and Morty, so let me know what you think. As always, a big thank you goes out to my newest patrons, Stinkfinger, Tom Skews, Natasha Lemaitre, George Yoland, A Cup of Tea with Sugar, Adam Schwartz, Dodger, Flemcat, and Kendra Miller. The continued creation of these ridiculous models wouldn't be possible without your support. If you'd like to help out, then you can find the link to my Patreon in the description. Of course, subscribing, commenting, and liking make a huge difference in the success of this channel, so if you like what you saw here, share it with your friends. And if you didn't like what you saw, then share it with your enemies. Otherwise, we'll see you next week. Cheers.